space, this stellium of planets is making an aspect to Black Moon Lilith, to Jupiter, to Uranus, to Chiron, to Saturn and Neptune. The only thing it's not aspecting are the lunar nodes, and we'll talk about that shortly. Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to The Real Sky. Today, we are going to do the new moon forecast for January 18th of 2026. I'm Dr. Danny, physician, astrologer. The astrology I offer you today is based on the actual sky. We have an amazing stellium of planets right now for this coming new moon. You'll have sun and moon, of course, conjunct like they are on every new moon, but we'll also have Venus conjunct Pluto. We'll also have Mercury and Mars conjunct, and all within 7 degrees of one another. This entire stellium is opposing Jupiter, and the moon and sun are touching every single one of the outer planets. So I will show you all of this. What came to me when I was looking at this moon was the word sovereign. So in other words, this moon is a marker of our sovereignty, where we draw the line in the sand, where the boundaries actually pop up for us. And the title of this talk is We Won't Even Have Time to Grieve. And I don't mean that in a bad way. The things that will be happening, the things that will be shifting, we will have to adapt so quickly that there won't be any time to be attached to it and to mourn it's changing or it's shifting. So very interesting moon, very exciting times. I'm excited to see what falls out of this new moon as well. I have done these by your rising signs, but only based on the true sky. So you'll have to go to the free chart calculator in the description and do your time, date, and location of your birth, and that will give you the actual true sky rising sign that you were born under. You'll need your birth time for this. If not, if there's a planet that you really resonate with, then whatever sign that planet rules, you can use that as your rising sign. You can also use this as your sun sign. So if you're not sure of your rising sign and you want to just go with sun sign, you can do that as well. So, all right, I don't really have any announcements other than cycles of light. By the time this comes out to the public, that class will have already passed. But if you wanted to catch it, there is the recording of the class that is also still available. The link for that is below. Also, we start Stellar Foundations in less than 3 weeks. And so if you're interested and ready to take the plunge with me into Stellar Foundations and join our group, it's new and improved this semester. We're doing 16 weeks instead of 13. You're getting 8 office hours instead of 6, and you're getting 2 half-hour focus sessions with me. So the link to Stellar Foundations is below. Please check that out. There are payment options. If you've already taken one of my courses, you can use the amount that you've used for that tuition towards Stellar Foundations. Just hit me up with an email, okay? All right, I think that's it. So let's get into it, friends. Okay, friends, here we are in the real sky. What do I say when I mean the real sky? Meaning that we are doing astrology based on astronomy. And just to show you that I'm not trying to trick you, I've got January 18th of 2026 right here at pretty much the exact minute of the new moon. And if you zoom in here with me, you will see that the sun, Venus, Mars, Moon, and Mercury are all right here between the constellations of Capricorn and Sagittarius. Okay, this is not a Capricorn new moon. What's also here that you won't see in Stellarium is the planet of Pluto, or the planetoid distant object asteroid. You can see that that is also right here on the cusp of Capricorn. And so the charts that I show you to read your astrology reflect the actual size and precise location of these constellations and where the planets are from our viewpoint sitting here on planet Earth. So this is what we'll be focusing on today. Most of this energy, all of this energy, is making aspects to both Saturn and Neptune here in the constellation of Pisces. You can see that it's right here at the beginning of Pisces and not in Aries. This won't actually happen for Saturn until 2028 and for Neptune 2040. So there's Saturn and Neptune. That's a sextile energy right there. These two are sextile to Uranus in Taurus. You can see that right here. And then Uranus is in a trine to this whole energy over here. So this is amazing. When you look at the sky, you guys will be amazed. Jupiter will be moving into also a sextile relationship with Uranus within a couple of months, and we'll have sextiles all over the sky. So there's Jupiter moving retrograde in Gemini, and then as we move through the zodiac, that's where pretty much everybody is. Black Moon Lilith is over here. And that's it. So let's get into the presentation. We'll read the astrological energy of these bodies and the aspects that they're making. And then I will take you through the astrology by your rising sign. Okay, friends, I hope that you are ready for this lunation. Things are going to happen very, very quickly. The shifts that you've been praying for, hoping for, some things that are unexpected that you had no idea, it's all up for grabs. It's all on the table during this new moon. This new moon, this lunation from this new moon to the next new moon brings us to the eclipse season. So it's here, it's now. If you don't consciously work with this energy this month, then the eclipse will be a much bigger surprise for you. So we won't even have time to grieve, like I said, because everything is resetting right around this new moon. Venus has already reset her cycle on the 6th of January. Venus and Mars have reset their cycle on the 8th of January. And on the 9th of January, Sun and Mars have reset their cycle. And now on the 18th, we've got the new moon. We've also had Sun cross over Pluto. And then on the 21st, we're going to have a new cycle with Mercury. So you see every single one of these smaller inner planets are resetting with the Sun and with the other planets. So let's get into some of this. This is my typical Venus time map, and I just wanted to show you how we've been progressing along and mention some of these conjunctions that we're having. The week before this new moon, Venus will cross from Sagittarius into Capricorn the day of the new moon. During the week before, she will have a square to Chiron and an opposition to Jupiter, creating that T-square. And then she'll make her conjunction with Pluto and a sextile to Black Moon Lilith as we move into the new moon weekend. And then shortly after that, Mercury moves into Capricorn, then Mars moves into Capricorn, and everybody's in Capricorn. So it's a big reset. There's a big shift in energy coming. So hopefully this report will give you the tools you need to move through it. We have a couple of new members that are not on this list that have just signed up, and I appreciate you all so much. The work that you do, the monthly support that you give this channel gives me the freedom and the opportunity to dive deep on topics that interest us all, that affect us all in terms of how we navigate our celestial energy. So from the bottom of my heart, I'm just sending each and every one of you so much love and gratitude for your support for this channel. All right, here is the actual sky. I don't have my normal drawing pad on me today because I am at the lake house, but we can still draw on this chart. Let me grab this marker. Oh, good. It gives me my cursor. Good. So here's what we're focusing on. It's this right here. So even though you see this spread out from the middle of Sag to the middle of Capricorn, what you're looking at are these actual hashtags. And you can see Mars and Mercury, Moon and Sun, Venus and Pluto. So they're all right here in this space. So those of you with Sagittarius Rising, this is actually the chart we're using for you. So let's advance this slide just a little bit. And let's look at this energy right here as a cluster. How do we deal with that? What is this? Why do we call this the sovereign moon? Why do we think there's not enough time to grieve, and why the shifts are going to be so fast? Okay, there's several things playing into this. Let's just break it down. So first you have the sun, which is the highest expression of our spiritual selves. The sun can be making angles to all the other planets in your chart, but here's where it sits right now at the moment of this new moon. When you add the new moon, we add the moon conjunct the sun, this is the beginning of a lunar cycle, and this happens every 29 days. So when they are precisely conjunct, that is the moment of this new moon. Now, a day or so before and a day or so after, the energies should be quiet, subtle, intentional. You really want to not bring anything previous from the old moon into this new energy. You want to feel what's coming for you. You want to work with these lunar cycles. That's why I always tell you, if you're tuning in during the full moons, you're not doing it right. You need to tune in during these new moons so that you know what is coming for you and you know exactly how to handle that coming full moon. All right. So moon and sun together, let's pretend somebody was born today. That would mean that they're the inner feminine, intuitive, empathetic side of themselves and the outward expressive, show me side of themselves are one energy. They're very, their actions do not belie their intuitions. They tend to act on instinct sometimes. They tend to be very helpful to people with new moons. Now in Sagittarius, right here at this cusp, this is what they call an anaretic degree. It's close enough to Capricorn and it's far enough away from the middle of Sagittarius that we're in this cuspy energy, right? So we have sort of the end of the graduation energy of Sagittarius, like has gone through the gamut of spirituality and beliefs and higher learning, and now comes to a place of responsibility, practicality, and integrity. So a lot of those themes are coursing around with this new moon. So what does that mean for us? Well, it means that if you've had a recent shift in your beliefs, this is the month where the external world is going to take on those characteristics and shift with you. So internal beliefs are shifting. And then all of a sudden the magic between Sagittarius and Capricorn is that based on those new beliefs, external shifts are evident. And Pluto comments on this specifically as we review the transit of Pluto through Sagittarius over the last 15 years. Pluto's been uplifting and excavating where our beliefs come from and asking us if we truly believe in what we did believe in. And a lot of our beliefs have changed. And so what we will notice in the next 12 years as Pluto moves through, or 14 years as Pluto moves through Capricorn, we will notice those structures dissolving that are no longer aligned with our beliefs. And so the same thing happens, but on a much smaller scale here with that lunar cycle in this position with the sun. Now, really, the sun just a couple of days ago, on the 8th, or is it the 9th? The 9th, made its conjunction with Mars. So it does this every 779 days or so, 780 days. The sun will make a conjunction with Mars. And it happens about every 2 years, 26 months or so. So that has already happened. That reset has already taken place, and Mercury is bringing up the rear. So on the 21st, Mercury will make its superior conjunction with the sun, and it'll also have a reset. So this is a very good moon for being incredibly mindful about what you want, monitoring and watching the quality of your thoughts. You also have to be very careful of how you take action right now, because thoughts and actions can become one thing. Thoughts can become things very quickly when Mars and Mercury are together. This is a great time for studying astrology, Mars and Mercury together, because you're taking action on information. So it's really no coincidence. I mean, it kind of is a coincidence that we're launching Stellar Foundations kind of right around when all this is happening. It really blends well with beginning a new endeavor, especially around something esoteric or of the higher mind, or something that's an advanced technique. So all of that around the mental activity. And then, of course, we have Venus and Pluto here together as well. So you've got your inner and your outer expressive force, your masculine, your feminine energy. Then you've got your mind, and then you've got your inspired action, all combined right here at the cusp of Sagittarius and Capricorn. And then we have Pluto and Venus together. Venus just starting the evening star phase. Within a couple of weeks, you'll be able to peer out your western window right after sunset and see the evening star Venus. It should be a magnificent sight, because every night she's going to get higher and higher and higher right after sunset until the peak right around mid-September of this coming year. So this is a fresh new energy for Venus, and she comes right out of the gate into the crucible of Pluto. And here's Pluto standing ready in Capricorn to change the things that are no longer serving us, to tear down the structures that no longer align with where we want to go as a collective. Venus offers a softening to that, an opportunity to gently let things go so that we can allow more space for creativity and creation. So this is all of this. This is pretty much everything that you are right here at the cusp of Sagittarius and Capricorn. So if we look at the aspects that are being made to this Sun, Moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Pluto combination, you'll see that this stellium, we're going to call it a stellium, which means 3 or more bodies in the same space. This stellium of planets is making an aspect to Black Moon Lilith, to Jupiter, to Uranus, to Chiron, to Saturn and Neptune. The only thing it's not aspecting are the lunar nodes, and we'll talk about that shortly. So here we have this aspect with Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith, what is this energy? Well, it is your power. It's your power it's your powerful creative force. It's that which is so powerful that you have shunned it, that you have hidden it, and you have banished it. And in Scorpio, this means that this energy lies in some very deep and scary places. So the power that we witness in the coming weeks during this lunation may come from dark and scary places. Although, when we think about ourselves personally and we look at all of these personal planets plus Pluto making this sextile to Black Moon Lilith, it becomes a different story. It's a lot more personal. There's something about yourself that will be exposed, that will be opened, that will be needing to be looked at and examined and understood and not shunned, not banished, because the aspects to Black Moon Lilith with everything else are also quite stunning. So, and Lilith is about sovereignty as well, like standing in your own power, doing what's good for you and yours and your collective. That's what Lilith is about. She really doesn't take anything lying down. In fact, she was rejected from the Garden of Eden because she would not submit. Okay, so at least that's her story. And so we have the opportunity here to use that flavor of Black Moon Lilith with our deepest, darkest secrets. Like, who cares what you think? We're coming out because it's actually my greatest power. So then you have all this. If that wasn't great, then we've got all of this energy that is trying to Uranus. And Uranus and Black Moon are in an opposition. This is a long-standing opposition. And this feels really amazing to me. When we think about Uranus in Taurus, we've got very physical energy. Taurus is all earth. It's about what we have in the right here and the right now. And Uranus is like the cosmic bro. He's sitting out there on the edge of the solar system, transmitting galactic and transcosmic interstellar information back down to the conscious energy of our solar system, so that we can hear those, or I guess sense those light codes and embody them. And that's what Taurus is allowing us to do. So some really strange, new, innovative, rebellious, disruptive energies coming through from outer space. And we're learning to ground that in the body in very useful, practical, and beautifully creative ways. And when you have Black Moon Lilith staring at Uranus across the chart, it's like, I don't care how weird you think you are. I don't care how strange, dark, or demented you think you are. Show it, come out, bring it out into the open so that it can be embodied. Because there's a grace, there's a beauty about it. There's a symmetry in allowing the dark to be seen. And Uranus isn't going to judge. So there's no judgment here across the way. It's just, are you being you? Are you being your authentic self? So this is a very interesting alignment right here. Then we look at the opposition of Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, and Pluto in its opposition to Jupiter. And Jupiter is retrograde right now, moving through the stars of Gemini. This is mental expansion. This is spiritual thinking. This is making something that you already know, something that is a hard, fast rule, a little bit better and more inclusive. So check yourself, check your beliefs. Are they inclusive or are they exclusive? You know, are there people in your belief system that you can't stand or that you're not able to allow in your presence because they don't believe what you believe? This kind of energy has to stop, because it doesn't matter what you believe and what someone else believes. They have you thinking that it does, that if everybody doesn't think the way you do, that the world isn't going to work out, that nothing's going to work out, when that could be farther from the truth. The fact is if you live and let live, which is very hard for Sagittarius to do sometimes, if you live and let live, then you will be free to live your life the way you want to. Because the more you're out there poking, antagonizing, trying to debate people, and I've had to go through this. I've had to learn this with how I feel about tropical astrology. I'm trying to be a little bit softer about it, but the more I poke that bear, the more pushback I get. And so in some ways, it's better to just let them do their own thing and let them read their charts wrong. And you and I will be over here doing it the right way. And for me, that feels much more aligned with the way that I like to work. I don't like to fight. I'm a lover, not a fighter, So how important are my beliefs that I expand them so much that they cause tension and arguments and war and chaos? I'm not into that. So that's Jupiter. Jupiter's going to expand all of that and open all this up. This is also a great signature for learning something new when Jupiter's in retrograde, because Jupiter's the teacher. This is also a time to be very generous, because when you give with Jupiter energy, you will always receive. So what are you giving? What are you sharing? What are you opening yourself up to? If that energy wasn't hard enough, let's add Chiron into the mix so that it can square it. So this is the crux. This is where everybody's at right now. My God's better than your God. My version of history is better than your version of history. My version of spirit and the cosmos is better than your version of spirit and the cosmos. That's the wound right there. It really doesn't matter what I think, where I think the stars actually are. It really doesn't, even though I'd like to think it does, because it's helped me so vastly. We may have to sort of forgive people for having different beliefs, because they're going to believe what they believe. Even if they're being lied to, they're going to believe it. Even the people that we would call normies or muggles or whatever, NPCs, you can't dismiss those people because they believe what they believe. They're working with the best that they have, right? So there's a forgiveness here. There's a compassion here. And I think this is the best way to use this particular square constructively and helpfully as we go through this next lunation. You got to let that shit go. You got to let people do what they're going to do. You're going to get your following based on you being in alignment and absolutely loving what you do, not through fighting other people or tearing other people down. That's not how it works. So there's that. So first we've got this gigantic stellium in here, and then we've got the Uranus and Lilith opposition with sextiles and trines that are asking us to check out our dismissed part of our psyche and bring it up to the surface. As long as it's authentic and true, it's acceptable. And don't be worried about what other people are going to say or feel about your belief, because it's yours and you own it. As long as you're acting in alignment, it really doesn't matter. Then we have another sextile to Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, and Pluto. And it's Saturn and Neptune. So you see how all these outer planets are touching this combination. This is a very, very personal transition point, and also for our collective, because if we're all going through this transition, then the world's going to change. So how are you going to manifest it? So here we have Saturn and Neptune here. This is spiritual devotion. This is structured mysticism. This is bringing form to the artistic energy. This is also bringing form and integrity to senescence, which is death, which is the end of things. So we have an opportunity here to gracefully bring things to an end without grieving, without sadness, without attachment, but with a hopeful outlook on what we can actually build based on a true and centered alignment. So I think that's everybody that the moon's hitting. Oh, here we go. Saturn and Neptune are also aspecting Uranus and Black Moon, but instead of the trine sextile, the way the moon and sun and Mercury, Mars, Venus, and Pluto are doing it, Saturn and Neptune are doing it in the opposite. So they're trining back to Black Moon Lilith and sextiling onto Uranus, just giving strength to this axis of allowing your inner demons to come to the light so you can see them and embrace them and love them and forgive them and be okay with other people believing different things than you. I mean, this is what these 2 points, the Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Venus, and Pluto, and Saturn and Neptune are doing with this axis. And Jupiter's just saying, well, how are you expanding? What do you actually believe? Right? So whatever structural changes come to you in this next month, it's based on, hey, what do you believe? Not what I believe, but what do you believe? All right, the last part of the chart we want to look at is the lunar nodes, which is so interesting because normally something is aspecting both the south node and the north node when they're transiting, but nothing is aspecting them, at least nothing major that we have mapped out in the chart. So that's what makes me believe this is going to feel very personal, but that the collective shift is going to move forward really without grieving, without shedding a tear about any of it. It'll be pretty amazing to watch this happen over the next couple of weeks. But the South Node moving through Leo, it's moving in a clockwise fashion. So in about a year, we'll move into Cancer. But right now it's about the divine child, returning to the divine innocence that's within all of us, that spark of creative power that's within all of us. And the idea that we need to perform to be accepted, perform to be loved. We don't, we just have to be, we just have to radiate. And the North Node, of course, in Aquarius, moving us towards the new age, technology, invention, inspiration, collective energies. This is what we're all working towards, but by moving into the center of ourselves and radiating outward. And then the collective adjusts itself naturally. That's just how the universe works. All right, so that is the general sky. And I wanted to talk to you real quickly about how to find your rising sign so that you know how to do that. Your birth time is essential. You can go to stellarium-web.org, the program that we opened this presentation with. And in the bottom right-hand corner, you can change the time and date to your birthday and time. Then just turn the sky till you see the E, and whatever constellation is rising, that is your true sky ascendant. You can also go to drdanny.com/free chart, powered by Mastering the Zodiac. The link is in the description below. You just put in your details, name, birth date, birth time, location, hit generate, and you look on the left side of the chart where it says ASC or AS, and the constellation spanning the 12th and first house cusp is the constellation that is your ascendant, and the planet that rules that constellation is also your chart ruler. So if you are used to practicing tropical astrology, this may change for you. You want to make sure that you look. You can also check out your new sun sign and your new moon sign while you're in there. So all the timestamps will be below if you want to jump right now down to that spot. But real quick, if you've never been to this channel before, you want to work with me, how to connect, best thing to do is like this channel so that the algorithm will catch it and more people will see it and can receive the guidance of the true sky. You can also hype all these videos, subscribe to my channel if you're lurking, and share my work with your friends. Expose the fact that the sky is not part of tropical astrology. Show them that there's actual, real, as above astrology that we can do to live a more soul-guided life. You can also join the Fellowship of 13 Signs. And if you want to get even closer and join us once a month, we meet right before the new moon. You can join our channel. You also get first look and exclusive viewing on certain content. I'm also going to start sharing my show notes with my channel members. And that's about it. You could also get a reading with me. You can take a course. And of course, my book, The 13th Sign, Ophiuchus and the Astrology They Don't Want You to See. The link to that book is also below. All right, beautiful Sagittarius Rising. You guys have all of this in your first house. Jupiter is your chart ruler, and it is looking back across the chart at all of this in your first house. So you're having a first and seventh house lunation right now, meaning that whatever else you may have in your Sagittarius or early Capricorn, this is pinging it right now. So if you have your sun here, you will have your own Saturn or Jupiter here, then you're feeling this. This is a very powerful and impactful lunation for you. The full moon will happen in your seventh house in Cancer, and we'll do that. We'll talk about that during the video coming up in a couple weeks. So the shift for you is going to be immediate, visible, and irreversible, and you are the epicenter. So you might change your hair, you might change your clothes, you might change something very drastic about yourself or your body. So there's some things that are dissolving for you this month as well. Old self-concepts and roles. Like, what have you been calling yourself all of these years or months? That's about to change. So the waiting, the rehearsing, the explaining, all of that can go away now. The fact that your identity has perhaps been shaped by others' expectations, that can also go away. In the body, you're going to feel restless. You're going to feel urgent. You're going to feel the adrenaline rush through this new moon. You're going to be acting before you're thinking. You're going to have a strong instinct to move, to speak, and to decide. And so things could happen like sudden travel plans or bookings. You might drive faster. You might walk faster. You're going to make decisions very quickly, like literally from mind to mouth. It's going to be so fast, you're not even going to be able to interpret it. So declarations, resignations, commitments to something. You're going to buy tickets. You're going to meet deadlines, consequences that are tied to actions. That's the theme for you this month, Sagittarius Rising. And when it comes to relationships, because of this Jupiter new moon axis here, this opposition, partners are going to react to your decisiveness. Some are going to feel left behind, and some are going to actually step up. So don't be afraid to just do it. Just let it happen. Everything is aligned. You're not going to have a chance to think about it anyway. Now, in terms of money and values, that's where the North Node and the South Node are. It's the 2nd and 8th house axis for you, Sagittarius Rising. You will be able to reclaim worth and resources with that North Node in your 2nd house, as long as you're moving authentically. And then in the 8th house, you're going to end energetic or financial entanglements this month. So stop supporting what drains you. It doesn't even matter anymore. Let it go. And the emotional tone, despite all this, is going to be calm, decisive, and embodied. Very little grief and a strong sense of inevitability, Sagittarius Rising. Capricorn Rising. Saturn rules your chart, and Moon, Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Pluto, and Mars are all in a sextile to your chart ruler. So this is the 12th, this is basically your ascendant for you, Capricorn Rising. So it's a 12th and 6th house axis here. The next lunation will be a 1st house lunation for you. So you are essentially, Capricorn Rising, ending your solely lunar year right now. And so it's a closeout month for you, right? This is behind the scenes before you pop out next month. It's the internal shift before the external display. Everything that's going to dissolve for you or to be overridden is all about old identities that you're unconsciously carrying, hidden obligations and energetic baggage. You can let all of that go through this new moon. And also roles that you've outgrown but have never named. You're going to feel it. It's not going to give you that same adrenaline rush that it used to. It's just going to feel tired. And this is the month to let it go. So the way that you'll be able to tell is you're going to feel fatigue, withdrawal, and the need for solitude the more you put your energy into those things that need to dissolve or go away. There's going to be a pull to simplify, reduce, and release. And it's a quiet resolve rather than urgency, okay? So the very literal manifestations that you may go through this month are ending commitments privately. You're going to say to yourself, you know what? No, I'm just done with that. I'm not doing that anymore. You're going to step back from visibility temporarily. You may just take a couple of weeks off. You're going to experience changes to sleep, health, and routines with the influence of Jupiter in your 6th house. And you're preparing for a shift that is public. And you don't even have to announce it. It will literally happen on its own, and it will probably happen after the eclipse. In terms of your relationships, partners will sense a shift before they understand it. Contracts and roles are renegotiated. And you have less tolerance for emotional dependency. That's very draining for you right now. Don't put up with it. With North Node in your 2nd house, you're reclaiming self-worth and material stability. And with the South Node in Leo in your 8th house, you're releasing shared burdens or debts. So something is coming to a close around having to deal with other people in terms of burdens or debt, and power is going to return by you putting up more boundaries. And I just think that's naturally going to happen. So this is a very detached energy. There's no emotional drive or dramatic grief around anything that's going to happen to you this month. It's detached, it's sovereign, it's composed, and there is a deep internal certainty. Okay? All right, Capricorn Rising, we'll see you at the full moon. All right, Aquarius Rising, you have got a very charged and electric month ahead of you. The reset here happens in the 11th house, which is groups of people, friends, distant relatives. It's about future vision, your alliances, your role in the collective. None of what's going to happen to you this month is private. Everyone will know what's happening with you, Aquarius Rising. Uranus rules your chart, and Uranus is in your 3rd house at the moment in Taurus, in a trine back to this new moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, Pluto combination. So you have this inevitable revolution that's taking place, not only in how you think, but in how you communicate to that collective, how you communicate about your public role and who you are and how you want to come out. What's going to dissolve for you this month are old group identities. Any performative belonging, you can forget about that. The idea that your future is going to be built around other people's expectations can also be dissolved or overridden this month. You're going to feel sudden detachment from groups of people. Like, let's say you did a book club every month. All of a sudden, it's just not going to work for you. You're just not going to the universe is going to throw things in your way so you can't go, or you're just going to completely lose interest in it. And you're going to pull yourself to reorganize your priorities. You're going to feel a clear sense of who you are and what you're building. You may leave groups, platforms, or collaborations. You may receive sudden invitations into new networks, public declarations about directions or goals, and long-term plans will be rewritten very quickly this month. In terms of your relationships, okay, the South Node is on your descendant over here, and the North Node is on your ascendant. So this releases relational dependency. One-on-one dynamics actually lose some authority for you. With the North Node on the ascendant, there's a self-direction that strengthens. And you will seek less approval from others during this month as well. Now, the opposition between Jupiter and the stellium is squared by Chiron, which is in your 2nd house. So there's wounds around worth. They're finally going to be acknowledged and out in the open. But like I said, there's no time for processing any of this. Decisions about pricing, income, or value will be made, and they'll be made quickly. So you need to stop undervaluing yourself, Aquarius Rising, because resources are going to align with your integrity. And part of being in integrity is valuing yourself. So Saturn and Neptune are in your 1st house. This is embodied authority, a calm presence. Uranus in your 3rd means sudden conversations, messages, insights. Jupiter in the 5th means taking creative risks, and joy returns through being truthful and authentic. And then with Black Moon Lilith in your 9th, an uncompromising truth about beliefs and or directions will be brought to the surface. So the emotional tone, while it sounds kind of tense, is really actually quite clear. There's very little nostalgia. There's very little grief. There's a future-oriented focus, a strong sense of authorship, and an intense sovereignty here for Aquarius Rising. This one is so powerful because it's quietly radical. Aquarius Rising will not explode under the moon. It repositions. And that's often way more consequential. Aquarius Rising. All right, beautiful Pisces Rising. Your chart ruler is either Neptune, if you want to go with the modern interpretation, or Jupiter, if you want to go with the traditional interpretation. Either way, both planets are contacting Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, and Pluto in your 10th house. So your 10th house is being highlighted here. Pisces Rising, visibility, role, your authority. A very public-facing lunar energy lunation for you this month. It's career-oriented. Your reputation is being considered as well. And what you do for business is no longer private or behind the scenes. The things that are going to be dissolving for you this month, Pisces Rising, old professional identities. You are no longer who you say you are. roles will dissolve that are built on obligation rather than truth. And you will not have to perform your authority. So in other words, you don't have to act like you're in charge. You are. So you get to embody it. This is going to feel like sudden clarity about direction. So much less tolerance for misrepresentation. If somebody changes your words or twists your words, you're not going to take it. You can't. You're over it. There's a calm decisiveness around leadership or withdraw here. And what you may notice or what may manifest for you is career pivots, resignation. Some of you may quit your job or quit your career completely, and there will be a public announcement about it. So in other words, it could, if you're highly visible, it could even be in the news. New responsibilities are going to be offered very quickly when you make this leap. And you're not going to have to, here's the thing about this moon, and this is the same for every rising sign. Things are going to come so fast, and the decisions will be made so quickly and aligned with who you are that you will not have time to think about it. Authority figures shifting or exiting from your field. Your visibility may increase without preparing for it. In terms of relationships and mirrors, the North node's in your 12th house and the South node is in your 6th house. So there's less concern with approval here. Others project expectations onto you, but you don't even care. You are now in a position where you decide what you carry. Now, the T-square that Chiron is forming from the 1st house to the 10th and from the 1st house to the 4th, this suggests that there's an identity wound that's acknowledged here. And again, it's not analyzed. We don't have time for that this month. Worth is tied to authenticity, not what you say you are. Decisions about compensation and workload or status will shift, and you are going to be in a strong position to stop overgiving professionally. The supporting dynamics are having Saturn and Neptune in your 12th house, so a deep internal containment of the energy that you've been leaking. Uranus in your 2nd, expect some income shifts, pricing changes, surprises. Jupiter in the 4th, home or family supports expansion. So lean on your family, lean on those people that live with you in your house. Black Moon Lilith in the 8th is power dynamics that become visible as well as it sextiles back to the 10th. And the emotional, even though this sounds intense, Pisces rising, this is a grounded, sober, and sovereign lunar cycle for you. Absolutely no time for self-doubt, very little time for grief, and a strong resolve. So you're going to feel really exposed, Pisces rising, under this lunation, but it's not unsafe. This is the moment where the authentic authority replaces any borrowed titles. All right, Aries rising. Mars is your chart ruler, and Mars is part of this amazing stellium of planets between Capricorn and Sagittarius. Mars is conjunct Mercury. Moon and Sun are conjunct. Venus and Pluto are conjunct, and they're all within 7 degrees of one another. And this lands right in your 9th house. So you've got all this 9th house energy, which is about your beliefs, your truth, your sacred moral compass. It's a world level reset here for Aries rising. Your future path will be recalibrated because of how your beliefs actually change this month. So old belief systems are dissolving for you. Teachers, mentors, or philosophies that you've outgrown. Have you noticed that you're smarter than your teacher right now? Have you noticed that the elders get on your nerves because they're so close-minded? This is why, Aries rising, you have outgrown these philosophies and these people, and your direction will be chosen out of truth rather than loyalty in the coming days. So you're going to feel a little restless, and then you're going to feel clarity. You're going to have a strong urge to change directions, to change what you do. There'll be a desire to move, to travel, to teach, or to speak the truth. You may have sudden trips. You may have long distance travel. You may sign up for a retreat. You're going to enroll in and disenroll in programs. You're just going to shift that whole landscape. So publishing, teaching, or broadcasting decisions. You may start a podcast. You may decide to tank your podcast. Legal, educational, or immigration matters will be activating here in this space as well. So you've been waiting for that green card. You've been waiting for that adjustment. You've been waiting for that letter to give you the good news. All of that can be happening this month for you. You're going to also say something that changes your future. The North Node is hanging out in your 11th house, and the South Node is in your 5th house. So you have way less of a tolerance for ideological mismatch, more than just everything sitting here in your 9th house. This axis right here from 5th to 11th means that your relationships will realign around shared truth, and authority figures will be losing their influence for you. Chiron making the T-square from your 12th house to the stellium and to Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. This means that wounds around faith surface very briefly, but they're no longer tied to being right. Remember what we talked about? It's not about being right. It's about being in your authentic truth. And you can't make other people be right. So you need to release guilt around choosing your own path. Sometimes your path is a lonely path because you're the one who's supposed to forge it. And with Uranus making his trine here to that stellium, that's just what we're dealing with. We're dealing with beliefs that not everybody can understand. So it's not about being right. Now, Saturn and Neptune are in your 11th, so your communities will restructure. Uranus in the first means there's sudden identity shifts and personal freedom. Oh, absolutely. When you decide you're not going to go do that thing anymore, you have all this space to re-express yourself. Jupiter in the third, conversations, writing, and announcements will be expanding through this lunation. And then Black Moon Lilith entering into your 8th house. It's truth about shared power and trust. And it's right there at your 7th house too. So it could be about the truth in relationships. What's the honest, authentic truth in the relationships that you're having? So the emotional tone, even though this sounds intense, Aries Rising, is actually quite liberated. You'll feel like a resolution and a forward-facing energy. Very little nostalgia. It's almost like when you graduate from something, you know, there's like, oh yeah, I'm going to miss these guys, but I'm on to the bigger and better things. And that's how you should be looking at this lunation. A strong sense of destiny without all the drama, you know, without all the tears. This is literally an energy that's propelling you forward that you cannot stop. Aries Rising. Sensual, earthy Taurus Rising. My people, this is my rising sign. Venus is our chart ruler, and Venus conjunct Pluto is no joke. This is literally a dramatic, powerful shift in your creative expression. But it's not just about being creative. It's about bringing it in responsibly, truthfully, authentically, without force, without performance, and with a steady power and a steady hand. This moon's also happening in our 8th house. So merging shared resources, trust, and power. This is very deep and a very private lunation for us, but also incredibly consequential. So this is not visible energy for us, Taurus Rising. This is irreversible shift that's going on deep inside of us. So what we're going to be doing this month, guys, is old entanglements and dependencies. We're cutting them out. We're not doing it anymore. Emotional or financial obligations that we are hanging on to because of loyalty. Those are also gone. You're going to make that switch internally this month. The external world may not show it right away, but that shift is happening within you. So power dynamics based on imbalance. It's time for them to go. We don't have time for that anymore. And it's probably making us weary and sick. So we're going to have strong visceral reactions to overextending our generosity. We're going to have a sudden intolerance for being owed anything or owing something to somebody. We want to wipe the slate clean this month, you guys. We're also going to feel a pull to reclaim autonomy, but again, very quietly. So we're going to end shared financial arrangements. We're going to renegotiate debt, inheritance, taxes, or investments. There may be sudden clarity around intimacy or trust. A legal or contractual matter may also surface this month, requiring resolution. And we should be choosing privacy over explanation. So if people are asking you uncomfortable questions, it's okay not to answer this month, Taurus Rising. In terms of the relationship front for Taurus, we will have one-on-one dynamics that are extremely intense. Power struggles become obvious. Some bonds will deepen through an honest recognition of this, and others will simply dissolve without the drama. In terms of money and values and power, we have North Node in our 10th house. reclaiming authority and self-direction, and the South Node in our 4th house, releasing emotional over-attachment to past security. So what this means is that we need to stop carrying what weakens our position, and sometimes we don't even know we're doing that. Taurus is stubborn energy we don't like to let go. However, resources will align with sovereignty when we make that internal shift. We're going to have Saturn and Neptune also in the 10th, meaning that our responsibilities will clarify and all the illusions about what we're doing, not only spiritually, but in terms of what we're building, our legacy, become crystal clear. Jupiter's in our 2nd house, meaning if there's any group that should be generous right now, it's Taurus Rising, because you have Jupiter in your 2nd house retrograde. So you should be very generous right now so that you can receive the generosity of Jupiter when he goes direct. Income expansion, value growth, and material support are all on the table here for this lunation. And self-worth stabilizes through ownership. It doesn't have to be physical ownership, guys, right? So you can just take ownership for that internal shift, for that internal power dynamic balance that has shifted for you. This is a subtle energy, but you'll see it play out in the months to come. Having Chiron there in our 11th house, squaring the Jupiter, and then the Moon, Sun, Venus, Pluto, Mercury, Mars axis there, means that friendships or community wounds are finally going to be acknowledged. And that may allow you to release more than you would have if it didn't come up. So allow that to come up. Then we have Uranus in the 12th house. So we're going to have subconscious breakthroughs and sudden endings behind the scenes. Our old futures will dissolve very quietly this month. So for Taurus rising, this is a deeply grounded, absolutely resolute moment. This is almost like hitting rock bottom. Now, if you're not hitting rock bottom, it's just a deep internal shift. But if you are Taurus this month, this is why. There's minimal outward emotion. This is all a falling away internally. But again, things are happening so fast this month, you're not going to have time to grieve. You're just going to hit the bottom and then bounce right up. So a clear internal boundary about what is shared is the key message for Taurus this month. All right, Gemini rising. Mercury is your chart ruler. And of course, Mercury is conjunct Mars in Sagittarius in your 7th house, conjunct Sun and Moon in your 7th house, conjunct Venus and Pluto in Capricorn in your 7th house. And it's all opposing Jupiter, which is in your 1st house. So Jupiter spends a year in your 1st house, Gemini rising. And you're going to notice expansion in your identity and your body. This is probably the biggest energy for you right now, the more longer ongoing theme with you. A lot of times we can gain weight when Jupiter's in our 1st house. So Gemini rising, watch the calories because Jupiter will expand your body. The moon, however, the moon and sun and everything else is activating that 7th house. So one-on-one relationships, contracts, mirrors, immediate interpersonal and consequential resets are happening in your relationships this month, Gemini rising. So here's what's going to dissolve for you. Here's what's going away with all these resets. Relationship patterns based on compromise. You're not doing it anymore. Agreements that actually dilute your truth. Gemini, if there's anybody in this whole rising sign reading that is always right, it's you guys. You guys are always right. And I mean that. So agreements that dilute your truth and letting others set the terms. This is not you, Gemini, and you know this. So allow all of that to dissolve, because strong reactions to that imbalance are going to show up in your partnerships. You're going to have so much less toleration for negotiation. When you speak what you want and someone comes back with you, but what about, you're going to be, no, I can't. There's going to be a clear instinct to redefine the relational roles that you have in partnerships and relationships. So turning points in your relationships, Gemini rising. Contracts will be signed, contracts will end, or they will be renegotiated. And it's all for you. It's also that you can expand. You're going to have very defining conversations that change the dynamics in the relationships that you have. And here's the bonus. New alliances will be forming very quickly. And it won't even be a matter of, like, maybe 3 months ago, you were like, well, I got these people over here and I need to do this, I need to do this. Now it's easy. You're just going to fall right into it. You're going to be like, yes, this feels like the truth for me. Having that whole stellium in your 7th house means that others are going to reflect this sovereignty. So some of your partners will step into this new alignment and others will fall away, and there won't be any time to grieve. And power dynamics will surface without disguise. So having Jupiter in the 1st means that your confidence will absolutely expand. Your presence will grow. Chiron is squaring Jupiter and this stellium from your 10th house. So your public role of sensitivity, that wound of sensitivity, is finally acknowledged in that public role. And the North Node in your 9th house up here with Saturn and Neptune, truth and direction are being prioritized for you right now. So stop shrinking to maintain harmony. You don't have to do that anymore. The emotional energy around this moon, while it might feel intense, well, you're definitely going to have to speak up and stand up for your boundaries, is actually quite clear, direct, and decisive. So very little emotional processing. Again, no time to grieve or to think about what you're letting go of. And a strong sense of personal authorship, meaning Gemini, you are writing the script for this month. I'll see you at the full moon. Sweet, sensitive Cancer rising. The moon rules your chart. So any lunation video we do is going to be important for you. The moon, the sun, Mercury, Mars, Venus, and Pluto are all in your 6th house. So this is where you're being activated this month. The house of service, the house of your daily routines, the house of your health. Last month moon was in the 5th house, where you could enjoy, where you could romance, where you could have pleasure. And now it's time for responsibility. That's what this is about. So work, health, daily rhythm, and service, practical, embodied, and immediately lived. You're probably going to be the one sign that sees most of the practical manifestations of this reset. So anything that's going on with you that is unsustainable, any routines that you just can't do every day anymore, you have to stop, you have to let it go. And the energy of this lunation makes it easy for you to do that. Also, overgiving because you're obligated to. All of a sudden, the opportunity to not do that anymore is going to show up. And you're going to take it, and it's going to make you feel very good and very expanded. And also work patterns that drain vitality. They have to go now, Cancer rising. Cancer rising, you're going to feel physical signals that demand attention. So listen to your body more than any other rising sign this month. When you make that decisive change, you may feel fatigue, but then when you rest and recuperate from that, you will feel more energetic than you did before. And you're going to have a strong urge to simplify and reorder your life. Changes in work schedule, changes in your role day to day, health decisions. So there may be something that you've been putting off for a while that you probably ought to tend to this month. So when you hear this, go ahead and make those appointments. Make that happen during this lunation. That's very, very important. You're also going to end tasks or commitments very abruptly. You're going to say, you know what? I can't do it this month. I just can't. You're also going to have to make adjustments to your diet, your sleep, and how you move through the world. In terms of your relationships, Cancer rising, boundaries will tighten in daily interactions. You're going to have way less tolerance for anything that feels emotionally laborious or cumbersome. There'll be a clear division of responsibility within the relationship. Now, in terms of value, money, material things, you've got South Node in your 2nd house. So it will be about letting go of inhibitions around self-worth. And the North Node is going to be in your 8th house with Saturn and Neptune. So restructuring shared resources, right? Financial or energetic agreements will be renegotiated here for the higher good within your own personal life. You also have Jupiter in the 12th house, meaning that support arrives quietly or behind the scenes. So I would say for you, Cancer rising, definitely take care of the business at hand, the daily work, the health routines, what you do every day, and everything else should fall into place. While this might sound dramatic, it really isn't. It's calm, it's practical, it's embodied energy. And we won't have time to have any grief about what we're letting go or what's happened or what we decided to do. Very little emotional processing will be able to take place here, but we're very supported. So you'll be able to make those decisions quickly and implement them quickly. Cancer rising, focus on sustainability over sentiment, because this moon will move through your body first. And so what no longer works will simply stop, and what supports life will remain. Lovely, vibrant Leo rising. The sun rules your chart. And of course, the sun is involved with the new moon. Moon, sun conjunct, Mercury, Mars conjunct, and Venus and Pluto conjunct, all within 7 degrees in your 5th house. So energy around creativity, desire, romance, self-expression, children. You could have a child born right around this new moon. You could get pregnant right around this new moon. This is a personal and expressive and heart-led month for you. You should enjoy this lunation, Leo rising. Here's what's going to dissolve for you, though. Here's what you're going to be able to let go of without grief, without attachment. Performing for approval. You do not need to do that anymore. Creative paths that no longer feel alive. You are by nature a creative person. And even though you said you're going to do something, you shouldn't keep doing it just because of obligation. It's important for you to do what authentically expresses from the bottom of your heart, Leo. Romance based on validation rather than truth. So anybody that's validating you, that's always saying, yes, you're right, that's not challenging you, that's not getting to your truth, they're not helping you in your life. And they're actually going to end up, there's going to be situations where they will necessarily leave your orb. So Leo rising, do notice that people will be leaving your orb, but it's okay. Like, again, we won't have time to process this in an emotional way. It's simply going to happen. So you're going to have strong creative urges this month. There's going to be a sudden loss of interest in some of the things that once excited you, like your baby project. You're going to shift hobbies now. A shift in romantic dynamics. Again, pregnancy or fertility themes for some people. Taking a personal risk without overthinking it. You could go big this month, Leo rising. With your North Node and Saturn with Neptune in the 7th house, relationships can get serious. Like if you're into somebody already and it's just kind of fun, it could get really serious. You could ask someone to marry you this month. Or if you get asked to be married, if someone asks you to marry them, you should say yes. It's all very supportive here for Leo rising. Commitments are clarified, tested, and illusions in these partnerships dissolve. Clear expectations are always set. In terms of value and money and worth, you have Chiron here in your 8th house, squaring to Jupiter and squaring to the stellium. Wounds around intimacy or trust are finally acknowledged in this space. Either you recognize them or someone helps you recognize them. And shared resources or emotional bonds are then renegotiated because of what happens here. Jupiter in the 11th provides warm, abundant, and optimum support through friends or networks. So whatever pops up here around intimacy or trust, you will need to lean on people. That's how you're going to pull in this beautiful relationship energy that's destined for you this month, Leo rising. Virgo rising. So you can have a couple different rulers if you're Virgo rising. If we're doing traditional rulerships, Mercury is your chart ruler. So Mercury is conjunct Mars, Sun, Moon, Venus, and Pluto. I love Venus as the chart ruler for Virgo, and I've done several videos on that, and I've taught it, and I've written a manuscript with some of this in here. Basically, if you are in tune to the divine feminine and you like planet Venus and you're a Virgo rising, you have my permission to use Venus as your chart ruler if Mercury does not resonate with you. So this whole lunation actually lands for you. Sun, Moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Pluto, all of it is in your 4th house this month, regardless of which chart ruler, all of them are in there. So home, family, inner foundation, emotional security, private and internal and foundational themes are on the reset block for you this month, Virgo rising. Old family roles and expectations are dissolving. They're disappearing. Emotional patterns that are rooted in past wounding. It's gone. It's over. You don't have time for that anymore. And definitions of safety that no longer make sense, those are also dissolving this month. So Virgo rising, you might need to withdraw or to nest and rest. There may be a very strong instinct for you to protect energy, not just yours, but those that are close to you. And also You will experience emotional clarity without overwhelm. So it's like this beautiful aha moment for you that resets everything. So you might change your living situation, or home dynamics may change. Somebody may move out or come back in. Decisions about family boundaries, who gets to do what in this family unit. You might just move your furniture. You might clean, you might reorganize the space. But letting go of a long-standing emotional burden and moving things around in your house are ways that the reset will manifest itself physically in your life. In terms of relationships and mirrors, which is your first and seventh house, close relationships will feel the shift first because this is around your fourth house and those that are in that very close orb to you. You will have so little tolerance for emotional manipulation. It's gonna open up, it's gonna turn its ugly head on you, and you'll be like, you cannot manipulate me that way anymore. And you will have clear boundaries with your family or with the people that you live with. Now, in terms of money and values and power, the North Node, Saturn, and Neptune, they're all in your sixth house. So the restructure is going to be around work and health routines. Chiron in the seventh is squaring Jupiter in your 10th and the stellium. So relationship sensitivity will be acknowledged here within this energy. So I feel like something's going to happen in the home that you make a quick decision or something shifts very rapidly. And it may even have to do with your career expanding. So your career may expand. You may even be asked to move because of this job, because it's that big, and that will affect your home life. And so you're going to redefine security through sustainability. Can you do this? Can you move your whole family, or is it something that will be a long distance journey for you? But this is all this may sound intense. This may sound like a tough decision, but it's actually quite grounded and quiet and inward. There really isn't a whole lot of outward emotion. There's no lingering grief. Once you and your family or your housemates decide what the next thing's going to be, it's very easy to follow through with that. So a strong sense of inner authority comes from this lunation for you, Virgo rising. It's a reset of the inner ground that you stand on. And once that foundation shifts, everything else is going to follow in the lunations to come. Beautiful, symmetrical Libra rising. Traditionally, Venus rules your chart, and I'm cool with that. But I also like Mercury as your chart ruler. I like Mercury's energy in Libra. It's very balanced. It's very fair. It makes you a good negotiator. It makes you someone who can see both sides. It also makes you very helpful. When you see people struggling, you know exactly what they need. And that's really, really beautiful energy, Libra rising. You're experiencing this. This should be a fun month for you because you're experiencing Sun, Moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, Pluto, all in your third house. So the mind, communication, daily exchanges, immediate, mental, and decisive. I love Gemini, third house Mercury energy. So this feels like an exciting and intense and inspirational month for you. You're going to come to some amazing conclusions. And the way that's going to happen is by you releasing any old narratives or self-talk that limit you. You're going to get rid of that. You're going to stop that. You're going to start looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, you're amazing. I love you. Let's go. Communication patterns that you used to do that are rooted in making other people happy, that's also going to stop. You're going to literally be you. And you're going to stop thinking around what other people are expecting, right? It's not about what they're expecting. It's about what are you delivering? What are you drawn to spiritually, naturally, and intuitively communicate or to receive? Now, this is going to show up physically in you with sudden clarity and thought, mental noise. You're not going to be able to deal with it. Like if you go into a busy, crowded room, it's just not going to vibrate with you very well. So make sure you protect that antenna of yours. It's very, very keen this month. You're going to speak more directly and less diplomatically. So you're going to say what's on your mind, and that's fantastic. And because you do this, you're going to have very defining conversations. Contracts, messages, announcements will come out of nowhere. Writing, teaching, or speaking will shift in its character and flavor. And siblings or local matters will be activated as well in terms of the reset around you. So you might get new neighbors, right? Or your neighbors may come to you for help, or you may not strike up a really amazing conversation with somebody in your local environment or group. In terms of relationships, you have Uranus in your 7th house. So there's a sudden shift in partnerships here for Libra rising. There's going to be an unpredictable response from those that you project onto. So whoever you project onto, expect the unexpected in terms of a response. And freedom for you, Libra rising, will come from being absolutely non-negotiable in your relationships. You have very high standards anyway, so you're just not going to put up with it. You're going to have your North Node in your 4th house and the South Node in your 10th house. So reclaiming inner security and then releasing public pressure or reputation-driven choices. You're a ham by nature. If you literally just radiate and be you, Libra rising, your full expression, the full solar energy of who you are will be expressed without effort. Jupiter in your 9th means that belief and direction are expanded. There's a higher calling for this knowledge for you. It means something more than just knowing something. And worth is decoupled from external validation. You're just going to not care anymore. Emotionally, this may sound intense, but this is very clear-minded, very steady, and very self-authored. Again, this moon is going to reset almost everything. So there's really no lingering grief. There's no emotional processing. And when you speak your truth, you can speak it confidently, Libra rising. Mysterious Scorpio and Ophiuchus rising. I put you guys together because they don't sit side by side in the chart. They're on top of each other. So Scorpio's over here and Ophiuchus is over here. So you guys get this. You guys get one general reading because whether you're Scorpio or Ophiuchus, this stellium's in your 2nd house. Okay. And Uranus is in your 6th, opposing Black Moon Lilith in your 12th. This will be for everyone, Scorpio and Ophiuchus rising. Now, your chart ruler is up for debate because Scorpio can have Mars or Pluto as the chart ruler. And Ophiuchus, we typically teach Chiron, but you can also have Jupiter there as well. So a lot of different rulers, and that makes sense to me because every Scorpio and Ophiuchus rising I know of is like a chameleon. You guys are always changing what you look like, changing the energy when you enter a room. It's somewhat adaptive and somewhat antagonistic in many ways. You attract people in and then you literally find their weak spots. And that's what's normal for you. So this moon's going to activate your 2nd house. So money, resources, value, and self-worth. The reset will be practical, embodied, and also very stabilizing. So things that are dissolving for you or that you're getting rid of, and again, this kind of energy is easy for you, Scorpio and Ophiuchus rising. Patterns around scarcity, let it go. Drop all your judgments around money and finances. It's an energy that's needed to create. So drop also that self-worth is tied to struggle or intensity. You, Scorpio and Ophiuchus rising, do not have to suffer to become wealthy. You simply need to heal others, except you always take in their wounds and act like it's yours. You also don't have to earn through overexertion, Scorpio and Ophiuchus rising. Stop overworking. So be very aware of the limits to your physical body this month. There should be a desire here for simplicity and just sustainability and less of a tolerance for things that deplete you. So you literally should say no and be over it for anybody that wants to suck away your energy. Financial decisions or restructuring will pop up this month for you. Like you're going to change your prices. You might raise your prices. You might have new income streams come into you out of nowhere. You're also going to let go of doing labor for free just because you think it's nice. You're also going to buy things that will support stability and longevity. Okay, so letting go of all of that. You guys do really like mirror other people's wounds, and sometimes you have a tough time and you misidentify those wounds as your own. And you don't feel worthy because you're feeling in that hurt. And so I strongly urge you to look at that truth for yourself, to try to enjoy just being someone who isn't wounded for once, because you'll find that the universe will bless you and you'll be more of a healer and someone people come to feel better rather than to cause pain. So in relationships, Jupiter in your 8th house mean that shared resources are highlighted and expanded. Financial and emotional agreements are revisited, and your trust is tested through material reality. The North Node in your 3rd house means that you need to speak your needs clearly, and the South Node in the 9th house means that you need to release inherited belief systems about worth. Saturn and Neptune in your 4th house redefines security and home foundations, and power stabilizes through ownership. So you see how it all ties together, right? You're going to do better the more that you own according to these stars, and you're going to do that by gathering resources around you, so that new income stream. But it comes with letting go of that identity of being attached to the wound. So even though this sounds intense, this is actually quite grounded, quite self-possessed and steady. There isn't any time for any time for grief here. Very little drama for you. Think of Mars as the surgeon here, as your chart ruler if you're Scorpio. There's a strong sense of material sovereignty, like, yes, this is mine, and it enhances me, or it adds value to who I am. So this is a return to embodied worth. What you choose to invest in now becomes the foundation of what carries you forward. Scorpio and Ophiuchus rising. All right, beautiful souls, that concludes the readings for this new moon for January 18th of 2026. I'll see you on the next live stream. Namaste, guys. Much love.